Hello, fourth graders. This is Miss Kovarik, and I'm here with Unit 2B, Lesson 18. And today we're going to talk about Muhammad's early life. So a lot of vocab today. Solitude is a noun, and that means the state of being alone. Recitation is a noun, something spoken from memory. Scribes are a noun, and these are people who copied documents before modern printing was invented. Compiled is a verb, and that means to put different texts together into one book. Pilgrimage is a noun, and that's a journey to a place or a shrine that is important to a religion. Preaching is a verb, and this means to speak publicly, usually about religion. Revelations is a noun, and these are the acts of a god revealing himself or herself. Blasphemy is a noun, and these are words or actions that are offensive to a religion. Persecution is a noun, the mistreatment of a person or group. Bleak is an adjective, and this means hopeless or depressing. Arbiter is a noun, and this is a person who has the authority to settle disputes or problems. So they settle problems between people. Tactics is a noun, and these are procedures employed to gain success. So something you do to be successful. Acknowledge is a verb, and that means to accept or recognize. Pardoned is a verb, and that means to forgive. Humiliated is a verb, and this means causing a person to lose their self-respect, so to feel really insecure, to feel really upset about themselves. Authority is a noun, a source of information that people believe is correct. Sermon is a noun, a speech for the purpose of religious instruction, so teaching religion. Idol is a noun, a statue or image worshipped as a god or as the representation of a god. A mosque is a noun, a place where Muslims worship. Ambiguity is a noun, uncertainty of meaning or intention, so not knowing what something means. It could go either way. And discord is a noun, and that is a disagreement. All right, so we're going to finish reading the chapter from last lesson. We're going to start with this passage called the Revelations. Muhammad lived quietly and peacefully for many years, busy with his business and his family. He was a thoughtful man, and sometimes he would leave the city for several days for the peace and solitude of the mountains. It was on one of these trips in approximately 610, when Muhammad was around 40 years old, that Muslims believe he had his first vision of the angel Gabriel. Muhammad heard Gabriel commanding him to recite a verse that would later become part of the Quran, the main religious text of Islam. The Quran and the Hadith. The Quran, or the recitation, contains the messages Muhammad believed he heard from God through the angel Gabriel over a period of 23 years, and which were written down by scribes and memorized by others during his lifetime. It consists of 114 surahs, or chapters, and is one of the authoritative sources on what Muslims should believe and how they should behave. In addition to the Quran, Muslims follow the Hadith, a collection of reports on the teachings, deeds, and sayings of Muhammad and his close companions that was compiled after the death. One of the Hadith summarizes what are generally called the 5 pillars of Islam. Shahada is the belief in one God and Muhammad as his prophet. Salat means prayer 5 times a day. Zakat, giving a portion of one's income to the poor and needy. Psalm, fasting during Ramadan, the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, and a Hajj is a pilgrimage to Mecca once in a lifetime. And this is a picture of the Quran. Up until this moment, Muhammad had been a polytheist, but through his visions, he came to believe there is only one God, the God of Abraham, who is worshipped by Jews and Christians. At first, Muhammad was terrified by his experiences. He first told only his wife, Khadijah, who comforted him and believed him. Then he shared what he had seen and heard with some of his closest relatives and friends, who also believed that what he was saying. In 613, Muhammad started publicly preaching his message. Muhammad continued to have visions or revelations throughout his life. They were collected after his death and together formed the Quran. Muslims believed that the revelations in the Quran came from God, just as Jews believe that the Torah, their own holy book, is from God. Muslims see Muhammad as the last prophet, someone who speaks the will of God, following Moses, Jesus, and others. Medina and the growth of Islam. Some welcome Muhammad's message, particularly the less powerful and wealthy of Mecca. But for Muhammad's own tribe, the Quraysh, it was blasphemy. The Quraysh, who worshipped additional gods, did not like being told their religion was wrong. They made life very difficult for Muhammad, particularly after his uncle Abu Talib and wife both died in 619. The next 3 years were a constant struggle for the first followers of Muhammad, the first Muslims. They were facing violent persecution in Mecca. Their future looked bleak. Some sought refuge in the Christian kingdom of Ethiopia. This is the Abrahamic religions. Muhammad came to believe that the God he heard through Gabriel was the God of Abraham, also worshipped by Jews and Christians. Muslims call that God Allah, the word for the God in Arabic. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity are sometimes called the Abrahamic faiths because they all trace their origin to Abraham, believed by Muslims, Jews, and Christians to be God's first prophet. Followers of the Abrahamic faiths believe many of the same things and follow many of the same practices. For example, all 3 religions are monotheistic, the belief in only one God. All 3 religions have holy scriptures that are believed to reveal the Word of God, the Quran for Islam, the Torah for Jews, and the Old and New Testaments for Christians, as well as additional guides for living, and the Hadith for Islam and the Talmud for Jews. The guidelines about food in Islam, halal, have similarities to the guidance about food in Judaism, or the kashrut. Neighboring towns were beginning to hear about Muhammad's message and his reputation for honesty. In 622, the people of Yathrib, a town about 250 miles north of Mecca, invited him to become their arbiter, and in many ways the ruler of the town. Muhammad agreed. He moved there that same year in 622, and this became known as the first official year of the Islamic era. The year of the Hijra calendar, Yathrib was renamed Medinat al-Nabi, which means the prophet's city, Medina for short. Muhammad's move to Medina as a ruler meant that for the first time Muslims had political power, as they would continue to have to the present day. Over the following 12 years, Muhammad's reach grew rapidly. He used 3 tactics. He preached, winning many new believers. He conducted raids on nearby towns that fought him and his caravans as well. And he made deals with important people, additionally offering wealth to towns willing to join his community of believers. But while his influence grew, he continued to struggle with the people of his own town, Mecca. Many Meccans refused to acknowledge Muhammad as a true prophet. Religion and politics. In the United States, the First Amendment of the Constitution prohibits the establishment of an official religion. This is sometimes called the separation of church and state. For example, government funds cannot be used to benefit or advance the interests of a particular religion. But for the Islamic and European dynasties of the Middle Ages, religion and government were not separate. Wars were often fought in the name of religion, and religious figures often had political and military authority. You cannot truly understand Muhammad's life or what happened after his death without remembering this. You also cannot understand the Crusades or life in the Middle Ages without understanding the relationship between religion and government. By 630, 8 years after leaving Mecca, Muhammad had converted thousands of people to Islam. He was able to march to Mecca with a force of 10,000 men. When Mecca surrendered to Muhammad, he pardoned his enemies and gave them many important positions. By doing this, Muhammad showed his political wisdom. He knew that if he had humiliated the Quraysh, they would have hated and tried to destroy him. By offering peace and power, he instead made them his allies. Once Muhammad had gained control of Mecca, he quickly used his expanding political and military power to expand Islam. By the time of his death in Medina in 632 CE, all of Western Arabia was under his control, and a huge number of people had converted to Islam. This was the first time that the religion had been united by religion or politics. It had happened amazingly fast, just 2 years after Muhammad had conquered Mecca. This is showing a map of Islam's expansion under Mecca. So the arrow are the missions, and the green is the land conquered by Muhammad. This is a well-known Persian guide to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. And your questions for today. Number 1, what are the 5 pillars of Islam? 2, only wealthy people were attracted to Muhammad's message. 3, how did Muhammad's religious beliefs change? 4, a convert is someone who changes their religious beliefs. From the evidence in the second paragraph on page 118, who were some of the first converts to Islam? 5, why did Muhammad move to Medina? And 6, Muhammad was invited to help rule the city of Medina. Number 7, what did Muhammad not do to gain influence in Medina? Number 8, Muhammad wasn't able to convert many people to Islam. Number 9, Muhammad died 10 years after moving to Medina. 10, Muhammad was still being persecuted at the time of his death. 11, Shia and Sunni are the 2 branches of blank. 12, what was there a disagreement about between the Shia and the Sunni? Number 13, what does the word legacy mean in the sentence above? And number 14, governments in the Middle Ages practiced separation of church and state. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you for lesson 19 tomorrow. Bye, Adams.